let's go ahead and get to the DeSantis part, and then we can flesh that out fully.
We've teased it so much. Let's get ahead to this clip. Lots of notice, and we'll have lots of commentary. Let's take a listen.
Trump at 71, Ron DeSanctimonious at 10%, Mike Pence at 7. Oh, Mike's doing better than I thought.
Mike's doing better than I thought. Ron DeSanctimonious, what do you all think? So, I'll be honest. Initially, I was somewhat overwhelmed. However, now that I have seen the pushback from the DeSantis bros online, I think Trump is onto something. So let's go put this up there from Matt Walsh. The Daily Wire crew is very upset about this. They're all like, DeSantis is an extremely effective conservative governor who's had real policy wins, real cultural wins. Trump isn't going to be able to take this one down with a dumb nickname. He better have more than that up his sleeve. Robert Costa over at CBS News had a similar take where he's like, many DeSantis allies are dispirited by President Trump's attack on him, a popular Republican governor. They did not expect to try and take him down ahead of the election. I'm like, listen, do you know Trump?
Like, you think he cares about the Republican Party?
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
The man has been at the center of politics since 2015. It's been 7 years. I think we all know he doesn't care about the Republican Party, hence that famous moment where he's like, maybe I'll run as an independent if I don't win the nomination. He literally only cares about one thing, which is attention and as a commodity. He can see and is probably extremely aggravated, as many reports have indicated, that Ron DeSantis is even floated somewhat next to his name. And anybody who believes that DeSantis could somehow win a GOP nomination without attacking Trump and not getting into a full-scale brawl, as Cruz and as Rubio both did, and then somehow come out victorious, what are you smoking?
Yeah.
Like, you and I have said this from the beginning, and it's funny because a lot of the DeSantis people, they don't want to hear it. And yet, every poll I've ever looked at for GOP voters tells me that DeSantis is purely like a college-educated phenomenon. Amongst college-educated men specifically in the GOP, DeSantis is the preferred candidate.
Yeah.
Amongst working-class men, it's like 78-20 Trump.
You're not at this point winning a Republican primary with a college-educated, like sort of more elite electorate.
Right.
Not happening. Right. Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, the DeSantis phenomenon, it's like the new iteration of the sort of like never Trump instinct. It's like the people who are really behind it are like, we don't like Trump. We think he's obnoxious. We want to replace him. We want someone else. But the going directly at him didn't work. So let's get someone who's like sort of aligned with him and certainly backs his agenda and hasn't said mean things about him. Maybe we can like sneak someone in that way. But ultimately, these two people are going to be head-to-head. Yes. If DeSantis even runs, which there was also some reporting that he was basically signaling to donors like, I think I'm going to wait.
Well, apparently, you know about that guy. Remember Ken Griffin, the GameStop billionaire?
Yeah.
That guy, he's like, I would write an unlimited check for DeSantis. I'm like, yeah, let's take the corrupt GameStop guy, and he'll be your person. And it's not to your benefit when the only people who are truly in your corner are like the Ben Shapiros of the world. Ben was a never Trumper in 2016.
Yeah, Ben didn't back Trump.
Exactly. Like he did in 2020, but he's like a tangential ally. He's like a true con of the conservative movement and cares about that. Trump doesn't care about any of that.
Right.
And I have to come back to this, like, true fantasy. Trump does, for all the reasons for why people would prefer DeSantis, quote, he gets things done, Trump without Trump. Those are the reasons why people love Trump. Like, that's what nobody has ever wanted to grapple with. You know, I see these guys, and like, listen, I used to think this way, so I'm somewhat sympathetic. They're like, well, you know, if the GOP is going to win on the backs of working class voters, they're going to have to deliver for them. I'm like, oh, really? Did Trump do that? Trump had two singular achievements in office. Number one, he cut taxes for rich people and corporations. Two, he let a bunch of drug dealers out of prison. Guess what? He didn't suffer any at all in the polls. He actually won 10 million more votes. So I see no evidence that you have to deliver anything for many of the people who are out there right now, and you still can't be tremendously successful at the ballot box. I don't wish it were that way, but it is.
I mean, he has really made the Republican Party synonymous with him.
Yes.
And so DeSantis is able to rise a bit as long as there isn't this direct head-to-head confrontation. And this is what I always thought. And they have this theory of like, oh, well, DeSantis did better on the lockdown. I mean, first of all, that's like a ways in the past at this point.
It's 2 years ago.
And
sorry.
Second of all, like, you think that like the facts and the reality of the particular policy decisions that were made, Trump will just make up some other shit, some other narrative of what happened, and people will go along with it. So ultimately, you know, I don't even know if DeSantis really ends up running. I also, you know, a lot of people are very critical of the like DeSanctimonious. They didn't think it was that great of a nickname. I actually thought it was kind of good.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
The thing with a nickname is it has to strike at something that is, you know, that has a kernel of truth, that makes the person into a caricature of some of their worst traits. And I thought it was interesting. There was reporting this morning about how Trump came up with the nickname, and I guess he's been privately testing different, they describe as derisive nicknames for Mr. DeSantis with his friends and advisors. Roger Stone had floated this one in particular on Truth Social. But what really locked in DeSanctimonious for Trump was that DeSantis released this video that was aimed at, they say, infusing his candidacy with a sense of the divine. The 96-second black and white video, which invokes God 10 times, was fashioned after a famous "So God Made a Farmer" speech in the 70s by the radio broadcaster Paul Harvey. You guys probably remember the Rams trucks used it in a Super Bowl ad highlighting the importance of farming. Well, DeSantis took that and made his own version, which was posted by his wife, where they say, and on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a protector. So God made a fighter. And of course, that fighter is Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
So you can see in watching that how you're like, yeah, DeSanctimonious, that fits pretty well, actually.
Listen, once again, I just got to come back to it. Like, oh, he gets things done. People don't care about getting things done. They're like, oh, listen, and even when, DeSantis, look, I think he's fine, but having watched him, like, he doesn't have the it factor. I'm always like, the case that they always make, he's like Trump without the X. But people love the X.
That's
they
the
like
whole
it.
thing they're there for is the
like,
X.
They're there for the show. That's the whole point. Once again, do I want politics to work this way? No, but it does. I mean, you go to war with the troops that you have. And like simply, the troops show that they love Trump. Every polling indication that we have, the endorsement thing is such a good example. You have state senators out there who are literally running on like, I'm backing Trump in like Wisconsin for the, they know who he is. They like him. But he's a secondary figure. He's like a B-list star compared to A-list talent. And look, for all of the talk of effectiveness and all that, like I do not see any evidence that any of that actually matters to any of the people who will vote in a GOP primary.
And the freak out over it was, to me, very interesting because I was like, what did y'all think was going to happen?
Yeah, I know.
Like, did you just think he was going to just let DeSantis do his thing and never, like, try to check his rising influence? Of course not. I mean, it was always going to come to some sort of a head-to-head confrontation if you really are serious and think this is going to get done. So anyway, interesting. And listen, guys, day after the midterms, 2024 is on. If it's not on already, there's all kinds of, questions about what Biden's going to do and what the midterms mean for him and all sorts of jockeying on the Democratic side, obviously the Republican side. So just prepare yourself. It's 2024 right away, the minute that the polls close on Tuesday night.
I'm going to enjoy it. We have no other choice.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.